We've got a heavy slate of D1 games that went very well over the weekend. Let's start with Notre Dame. They played Syracuse, a ranked Syracuse team, and handed them their second straight loss. It was a great game for the Fighting Irish.
And that's a good Syracuse team. I mean, we watched, off the top of my head, I can't remember who they played last week. But whoever they played last week, they lost, but they had a great game. Garrett Schrader is a good quarterback. He played very well for them in their last game, but this time out, he ended up getting hurt. So stepping in for him is Carlos Del Rio Wilson, who's taking snaps. Now, this is before Schrader got hurt. He got hurt late in the first half with the pick six.
First play of the game. First play of the game, and he takes it back for a touchdown. Notre Dame, they started hot, and they just kept going.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was good defense, and there you see what a crowd reaction shot there. Kind of shocking for Syracuse fans. They really got their bell rung to begin the game. But, it was a back-and-forth game for the first half. A lot of not too much scoring, but Audric Estime there finding the end zone for the Fighting Irish. And I think he's had an excellent year so far. He's looked very good.
Yeah, not only him, but also both of the top two running backs for Notre Dame each had 20 carries. They've really bought into this ground and pound formula, right? They're not giving Drew Pine too many attempts. He was only 9 of 19 this game, so it's not like he's going out there throwing for 40 attempts. But they're just running the ball. I mean, those top two players, 40 carries between the two of them. This team loves to run the ball, and it seemed to be working. Really physical.
Well, speaking of the ground and pound, you just saw Sean Tucker score that touchdown, and there's Del Rio throwing an interception. But Sean Tucker's been fantastic on the ground for the Orange, and he's looked, almost unstoppable in certain games. Of course, not this week. He only had 60 yards. I mean, it was just great defense from Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was such a good overall game, and it's good to see Notre Dame get that fifth win. Kind of looked dire to start the season, but they're starting to put together some quality wins, and I think it's definitely coming off the grounds of this run game. I think Marcus Freeman figuring out how to coach this team.
I mean, it's tough to step into a job like Notre Dame where expectations are always extremely high from not only the fans, but from administration, from the athletic department. And, he needed a couple games to get used to it. I know I would if I was in that situation. Of course, I'm nowhere near qualified to coach Notre Dame, but, it's a tough job to go into, and you're expected to win immediately.
Outside of Notre Dame, let's get out of the state of Indiana, but still stay in the Big Ten. Obviously, we're big IU and Purdue fans, so in the Big Ten, it's always fun to watch how these games go. Ohio State and Penn State was a great game over the weekend. Penn State had the lead going into the fourth quarter. I thought they were going to win this one, and it was just obviously Ohio State ends up getting that win. They retain their number 2 ranking, but that was just such a good game. Going to the fourth quarter, it was 14-13 Penn State. But the final score was 44-31 Ohio State. So it seems like more of a blowout, but it was a great game.
Yeah, and C.J. Stroud was fantastic in that one. I'm a big fan of C.J. Stroud. I think that he's probably the front runner for the Heisman, in my mind at least. He's thrown for over 300 yards in so many games. He only threw 1 touchdown in that game, but, he didn't need to throw more than that. The ground game was going for him, and defense was playing very well for the Buckeyes. And it was a very good showing from the entire Buckeyes team.
Yeah, and it was such a fun game for these teams that, especially for Penn State after a couple losses, obviously didn't play too well against Michigan as you can expect, but able to come back and hold their own against the second best team in the nation. It was just so much fun for Penn State here.
Yeah, Penn State's kind of struggled in and out of the past 2 years. They've been in and out of rankings. But I think they're also kind of for real this season. They struggled at the beginning of the year, but they're looking pretty good. And obviously, if they went into the fourth quarter with the lead against, like you said, the number 2 team in the nation, probably the favorite to win the Big Ten, I would assume. I think you take away that you fought hard and Ohio State just got the best of you.
Now, as far as outside of the Big Ten, still plenty of great games in Division I. That top 25, such an impressive week for college football. How about Ole Miss and their game against Texas A&M? What a fun game. The final score there, Ole Miss 31 and Texas A&M 28. It was such an impressive game, and it was so much fun to watch here, especially for the 15th ranked Ole Miss team.
Well, it was high scoring, 31-28. Texas A&M too, they've had a tough go of things lately. They started off the season ranked. They lost a couple key games, but they've really bounced back here. And, you know, I'd say losing to a number 15 ranked Ole Miss team, it's as much of a positive out of a negative as you can make it.
Yeah, and they kept it such a close game. A&M's kind of struggled this year, right? 3-4, but they've had so many close games that have come down to the wire, and this one was no different. It was such an impressive game, and really just it's been a tough season for A&M. They're used to a lot more success than what they're getting. You look at the record, you're thinking they're a poor team, but I think they're playing a lot better than those numbers on the screen. They're now 3-5, obviously, not quite where they thought they'd be at the beginning of the year, but they're a better team than that record shows.
Oh yeah, I mean there was a lot of QB play in this one, right? Both QBs combined for 7 touchdowns, but really the story of the game was the run game for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Not just the run game. How about Quinshawn Judkins? 34 carries, 205 yards, and a touchdown on his 19th birthday. Celebrated a birthday on Saturday. Not only that, he went over 1,000 yards on the season, which puts him now at the most yards by a freshman running back for any Ole Miss player in the history of the program. On his birthday, there could not have been a better story than that.
I mean, happy birthday to him, and
absolutely.
Well, I mean, what else do you say if you're Lane Kiffin there? Happy birthday, bud. Keep trucking, I guess.
Yeah, and then you go to the post-game press conference for Lane Kiffin. You chirp at the other team a little bit. I'd say that's what you say, but
he's pretty good at that. That's for sure. But I mean, Ole Miss off to its best season start since '62. Looking forward to seeing how they improve upon a great season so far for the rest of the season.
We've got October baseball. The World Series is here. We're going to talk about that next after this break here on Last Call.